You know, we're always told to speak up, right? To make our voice heard, to get ahead. But what if I told you the single most powerful move you can make is to say absolutely nothing at all? Today, we're going to dive into the incredible strategic power of silence.
So, when is it actually better to just stay quiet? Seriously, thinking about this question and really getting the answer can completely change how you handle conflict, how you chase your goals, and how you build real, lasting strength. Because sometimes one perfect moment of silence is more powerful than 1,000 words.
Okay, so let's start with our own inner world, specifically with one of the most explosive and, honestly, destructive emotions we all deal with. Getting a handle on this is really the first big step to mastering the power of silence.
The source material we're looking at calls anger a poison. And wow, that's such a perfect metaphor. Just think about it for a second. When you're furious, your rational brain kind of shuts down and your mouth opens up. And the words that come pouring out, they're often toxic. They have the power to create these deep wounds that, let's be honest, never fully heal, even long after you've said you're sorry.
And the contrast here is it's night and day. On one hand, lashing out, it just creates permanent damage, leads to that horrible feeling of regret, and you completely lose control. But choosing silence, that gives you that crucial pause, that moment to breathe, to think. It protects your relationships, and, most importantly, it keeps you in the driver's seat.
Oh, we've all met these people, haven't we? The ones who just seem to enjoy pushing buttons. They try to get a rise out of you, maybe just for their own entertainment. Well, when you react with anger, you're just playing their game. You are walking right into their trap. And in that moment, guess who has all the power? They do.
This right here, this gets to the absolute heart of it. When someone is trying to provoke you, your silence isn't weakness. No way. It's the ultimate act of self-control. By just refusing to engage on their level, you're making a statement. You're saying, nope, only I am in charge of my emotions. And just like that, you take all your power back.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little. We're going to take this idea from managing our internal world to building our external one. Because how you talk about your goals, well, it can literally determine whether or not you ever actually reach them.
Here's a super simple but incredibly powerful 3-step process. The whole idea is to just put your head down and focus on the work, without broadcasting your huge plans to the world. And you might be asking, why? Well, because announcing your goals too early just invites all this negativity and doubt before you've even had a chance to build up any real momentum.
You know, when you share a big, exciting dream, you're hoping for support, for cheers. But a lot of the time, you get the exact opposite. Some people will just ridicule your ambition. They'll say, oh, you can't do that, or that's impossible. And those words plant little seeds of doubt in your own mind. And then there are the others, the ones who feel a little pang of jealousy. And they might secretly, quietly hope you fail. All that external noise can poison your own belief in yourself.
And this brings us to another really critical question about what we decide to share. It's not just our dreams we have to protect, it's also our vulnerabilities. So how open should you really be about your weaknesses?
Listen, the source material is crystal clear about this, and it's a hard truth. Some people will act like your friend, earn your trust, just to learn where you're most vulnerable. And when the time is right for them, they will use that knowledge against you. That's why being silent about your weaknesses isn't being dishonest, it's a shield. Real strength is resilience, and you are most resilient when nobody knows where to strike to break you.
So we've covered our emotions, we've covered our goals. Now let's talk about using silence to navigate some of those tricky social situations, especially when you're dealing with arguments and criticism. Have you ever been in one of those arguments where you realize the other person isn't even interested in the truth? Their only goal is to be right, to win. Engaging with people like that is just a massive waste of your time and your energy, resources that are so much better spent on your own growth, on your own goals. And that's the fundamental difference, isn't it? The person who's obsessed with winning every little argument, they stay stuck. They're just running in circles. But the wise person, they disengage from that pointless fight and they invest that energy in moving forward. One stays put, the other makes progress.
These 3 things right here, pointless arguments, people who are determined to misunderstand you, and just unfair criticism, they are total energy vampires. Trying to explain yourself over and over to people who have already decided what they think, it's useless. Sometimes the only explanation they'll ever accept isn't going to come from your words. It's going to come from your actions.
So, instead of wasting hours defending yourself, just stay silent and keep working. Let your results become the ultimate undeniable comeback.
Believe me, success silences critics way more effectively than any argument ever could.
All right, now let's get into the deepest application of silence, using it as a source of strength and courage when life gets really, really hard.
You know, when you truly, deep down, trust your own path, your decisions, and all your hard work, you just stop needing everyone else to get it. You don't need their validation or their approval anymore. Your own internal conviction is enough. And that lets you work in silence, powered entirely by your own belief.
Everybody faces these moments. Times of hardship, of failure, the business isn't taking off, the results aren't there, relationships are strained. It can feel like the world is crumbling. But the source reminds us of a simple truth. The darkest hour is always just before the dawn. These are the times that call for patience and for silence, not for panic.
So here's your game plan for getting through any storm. First, you acknowledge the struggle. You don't ignore it, but you don't let it swallow you whole. Then you stay silent. No complaining, no explaining. You just patiently keep working on yourself. And finally, you hold on to that faith that time, which feels like your enemy right now, will eventually be on your side again.
So after looking at all of this, from anger and arguments to our goals and our greatest hardships, what's the final step? What's the one core principle we need to walk away with?
This is it. This is the key. Silence is not passive. It is not weakness. It is a conscious, strategic choice. It's a tool that gives you control, that protects your dreams, and builds incredible, unbreakable resilience. Your silence, that is your strength.
And that brings it all back to you. I want you to think about your day ahead, your meetings, your conversations, your challenges. Where can you apply this power? In which situation will you choose strategic silence today?